If you want to confront the physical changes that take place, read on. The first visible change to the body, occurring 15 to 20 minutes after death, is pallor mortis, in which the body begins to pale. Pallor mortis occurs because blood stops moving through the capillaries, the smallest of the body's blood vessels. This process is identical for all people, but it's less immediately apparent on people with darker skin. Meanwhile, the body cools, decreasing in temperature about 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit 0.84 degrees Celsius per hour. But even when the body is cold, it's still full of life. Scientists liken a decaying body to an ecosystem. Autolysis, which begins the process of decomposition, is also called self-digestion. Enzymes begin to digest the membranes of oxygen-deprived cells. Damaged blood cells pour out of their broken vessels in a rush of movement. When they settle in the capillaries and other small blood vessels, they trigger discoloration on the skin's surface. Though this discoloration, including a purplish-blue hue and reddish spots, begins to set in about an hour after death, it usually isn't visible until a few hours later. Changes like those are almost infinite after death. When the body is alive, filaments consisting mainly of the proteins actin and myosin interact, binding with or releasing from one another to contract or relax muscles. That makes body movement possible. In death, chemical bridges gradually form between the actin and the myosin, so the muscles contract and stay that way till the bridges break down. This stiffness, known as rigor mortis, occurs about 2 to 6 hours after death. Rigor mortis adds to the difficulty of performing an autopsy or preparing a body for a funeral, as the body loses the flexibility it had during life. It might take a little bit of force to break the rigor mortis up, mortician Holly Williams explained in an interview with BBC Future. Usually, the fresher a body is, the easier it is for me to work on. Among the living things in the human body are bacteria. While the body is alive, they are concentrated in the gut but are mostly kept out of other internal organs by the immune system. After death, though, these bacteria are free to feed on the whole body. First they digest the intestines and nearby tissue. Then they expand their reach, entering the capillaries and making their way into the heart and brain to feast. One study, by forensic scientist Gulnaz Javan and others, suggested that it takes bacteria 58 hours to spread to the liver, spleen, heart, and brain. That stage of decomposition, called putrefaction, may be fully realized only after several days. The breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, and other compounds in the body, caused largely by bacteria and by insect larvae, produces gases that swell the abdomen and eventually break the skin, which draws other insects to the feast. Decomposition takes time. How much time may depend on such factors as the cause of death, the environmental conditions, or even the clothing on the body. Decomposition is a continuous process, explained forensic scientist M. Lee Goff to Medical News Today, beginning at the point of death and ending when the body has been reduced to a skeleton. To slow that arguably gruesome process, humans have devised various practices for preserving the body. A well-preserved body has long been a chief mortuary concern, especially when it will be displayed during a period of mourning. After U.S. President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, his body was taken on a train ride through 7 states so citizens could view it, some waiting up to 5 hours for the honor. Embalming is one way of preserving a body after death. A wide variety of substances, including vinegar, wine, brandy, and honey, have been used to pickle corpses and thus delay putrefaction. In the modern procedure of embalming, blood is drained from the veins, and another fluid, usually based on a solution of formaldehyde in water, is injected into a major artery. Cavity fluid is also removed and replaced with a preservative. Though this version of embalming isn't permanent, it serves its purpose, giving the body a lifelike appearance in the days after death when it will be viewed by mourners. Whether you choose to be embalmed in honey, embalmed the modern way, or not embalmed at all, you don't have to worry too much about decomposition sneaking up on you. Chances are, your body isn't going from flesh to bone anytime soon.